بالحق والتقي والفاتحين ثم أما بعد. Let's start with the first topic, which is retirement accounts in general. And as an introduction for this topic, I would say that for you as a practicing Muslim to care about your financial stability and financial sustainability during your lifetime, and Allah forbids after your death, is not something like luxury or cosmetic. Well, believe it or not, it is a part of your deen. Prophet ﷺ actually is the one who is highly recommending us to be financially stable and sustainable as well. Two different evidences I want to share with you briefly. The first one was the Prophet ﷺ says in general, وَالْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. The upper hand is better than the lower hand. The upper hand actually is the hand of the one who is financially stable, right? Well off, so much so that he or she is able to give to other people. And the one with the lower hand is the one who is financially unstable, someone who is in need for the support of the sadaqah of like from other people. And the Prophet ﷺ is making it clear that the one with the upper hand is better than the one with the lower hand. When Sa'd radiallahu anhu, one of the Sahaba, wanted to donate like 50% of his wealth or to bequeath, like to do wasiyah, to be donated after his death, giving to the non-waratha, to the non-legal heirs, to strangers other than the waratha. So he wanted to get the permission and the blessing of the Prophet ﷺ, approval, the Prophet ﷺ, to donate 1/2 of his wealth. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, 1/2 is too much. Okay. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm sorry, 2/3, he said 2/3 is too much. 1/2, he said 1/2 is too much. He said, how about 1/3? Prophet ﷺ said, الثلث والثلث كثير. Yes, you can donate, you can bequeath 1/3 after your death, yet 1/3 even is too much. الثلث والثلث كثير. And then he justified his fatwa عليه الصلاة والسلام by saying, إنك إن تذر ورثتك أغنياء سهوهم خير من أن تذرهم عالة يتكففون الناس. Leaving your family members, your legal heirs, your inheritors, financially stable, wealthy, well off, is way better than leaving them needy, begging people. So I think it is obvious and clear that we have actually, this is a kind of devotion, it's a part of our deen, to look forward to be financially stable during our lifetime, and Allah forbids after we the bread bakers of the family, as they say, whenever we pass away, at least then we have to make sure that we leave something behind for our kids to be financially stable. Having said that, one of the things that you need to take into consideration is the retirement account. Why I'm giving you like all this like long introduction to the topic, because I did actually come across some of, like, mashallah, very practicing brothers and sisters who do not have a retirement account to start with. And when I asked them a question, why do not you have a retirement account? The answer was because there is no way, because we are not 100% sure that the retirement account is 100% Sharia compliant. And I would say with all due respect, that is way too extreme, way too much. Who said that you have to make sure that your investment is 100% Sharia compliant, and if it is not, then the other option is to drop or to compromise your 401k. Who said that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran is saying otherwise. He said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to your Lord as much as you can. Prophet ﷺ said, مَا نَهَيْتُكُمْ عَنْهُ فَاجْتَنِبُوهُ. Whatever I prohibited for you, stay away from it. Something that is well known to be haram, just stay away from it. قَالَ وَمَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِأَمْرٍ فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. But when I command you to do something, do it as much as you can. Having said that, we need to know that there is nothing nowadays, and I'm responsible for what I say. There is nothing, nowadays called 100% Sharia compliant investment in the stock market. This is not close to impossible. It is literally impossible. You cannot. Every single stock that you could ever come to your mind, every single financial instrument, any kind of account investment in the stock market does have a certain percentage of haram. It could be more, it could be less, but actually the haram is there. And what you need to do is to strive to make sure that your investment is as Sharia compliant as possible. Well, if you reach to a conclusion that the best I can do is to have, let's say, 80% Sharia compliant investment, and I'm positive that the 20% actually are not. Could be bonds, derivatives, the futures, options, whatever the financial instrument might be. If that is the case, okay, you need to keep everything as is and just dispose 20% of the profit, not of the market value, 20% of the profit of that portfolio, of that retirement account, and then you pay zakat on the rest of it, and that will be it. I mean, you are not required to do more than that. Let's go through the slides just briefly. I know that today I need to give you more time for question and answer. As you see here, not an option, halal investment option. Yes, sir. What happens in the real life, especially if you work for corporate America, you sit with the wealth manager or the financial advisor of the company that takes care of the retirement account of your employer. Fidelity, Vanguard, whatever the company might be. And that advisor actually gives you maybe 5 different options. We have portfolio number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And this one has 50% stocks and 50% bonds, and this one is a pure bond, and this one, and he gives you a lot of information. What you need to do actually is to educate yourself more about those options. As you see here, not an option, stable value fund. Stable value fund actually is a kind of straightforward, traditional saving account. You open a retirement account, okay, CD, sometimes they go like a certified deposit. It gives you maybe 2 or 3% net profit, which is of course interest because the principal is guaranteed and the return is guaranteed. Based on what we explained yesterday, this should not be an option, for you whatsoever. Not even the second one, which is the balanced fund, where you have, I would say, approximately 50% stocks and 50% otherwise, most probably bonds. This is not an option because the percentage of the bonds is really significant. So moving on, make sure that you limit yourself to stocks and stocks only. So stay away from bonds. Bond actually is an interest-bearing loan. You lend your money to the federal government. They call it a T-bill, right? Regardless of the maturity, is it 6 months or 70 years, and all these technical details are not within our scope of interest. Tonight we are discussing the issue, tackling this issue from a haram and halal perspective, not from a technical perspective. So bond actually is not an option. What else? Options, derivatives, CDS, CDO, futures, all these different financial instruments actually do not make any sense whatsoever. They do not represent any commodity or any merchandise or sometimes even a service. Just like a piece of paper that has no value whatsoever. And sometimes, if a group of companies, like a certain index, makes a profit, you lose, right? And if they lose, you make a profit. So it's a semi-gambling kind of financial instrument nature. I'm not saying that every single financial instrument other than stocks is haram by default. I'm not saying so. But I'm saying that this is something not within your comfort zone as a practicing Muslim. When you want to make an investment, you invest in something that is tangible, something that is measurable, something that is beneficial, something that adds some value to the society. You buy something, you sell, you manufacture, you commission, you do something that really brings value to the society, right? None of the above actually applies when it comes to options and derivatives and futures and so on and so forth. So limit yourself to stocks. And of course, those stocks actually has to belong to companies where their core business is a halal one. And by core business, I mean like, the main business of the company, right? When you say, for example, Apple or Microsoft, it comes to your mind like, software and hardware computers, right? This is actually the core business. But maybe you do not know that Apple, for example, does have a side business. So the fact that that stock belongs to a company where its core business is halal, believe it or not, is insufficient. I mean, this is like number one in the checklist. You have a long checklist, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once all these different criteria are matched or met, then you're good to go, you can invest. But generally speaking, you start with number one, that those stocks belong to companies where their core business is a halal one. Now, once we pass, that criteria, then we need to move on. Now, whether those stocks like belong to like the stock market in the United States or internationally, or limit yourself to the employer stock fund, for example, like some companies offer a very discounted price for their employees. So your 401k or your retirement account is exclusively having stocks belong to the company that you work for, right? Again, all these technical details actually are not within our scope of interest. Just make sure that they are stocks. Now, after that, you need to go to the next step. On our investment, okay. So, certain criteria has to be matched. No guaranteed profit. And I think yesterday we took our time explaining that in the Islamic finance system, if the principal is guaranteed and or the profit is guaranteed, then this is not a halal investment. You cannot involve your money in an actual real trade business, right? While your principal is guaranteed, while your profit is guaranteed. Key. Number two, no unlawful dealing. It goes without saying that if that business belongs to tobacco or gambling or adult entertainment or financial, like traditional financial institutions, right? Then you have to stay away from it, even if that financial instrument is a stock. But actually, it does belong to. So no haram investment, and no haram assets, and no high debt asset ratio. Those are like very technical details. Debt asset ratio means that some companies, their stocks, do not represent commodities and merchandise 100%. Sometimes the stock reflects maybe 20 or 30% cash money, debt, due, loans. Money in society actually is very cheap, and companies prefer to borrow money with interest, or like from traditional financial institutes, taking that money, making business, making profits, paying off the principal and the interest. Some of those companies actually take it to the extreme, so much so that a certain stock, believe it or not, might reflect maybe 40 or 50% cash money versus 50% actual assets and maybe like tools and devices and machineries. And if that is the case, then you cannot trade in that particular stock, because actually you are trading money for money, right? If 50% of the stock or even 30% of the stock is cash money, you cannot trade, you cannot buy money for money, as we already explained yesterday. So no haram assets, in a sense that some of those companies, like big companies, Apple for example, do you know that they have Apple TV channel? Do you know that? Do you know that Apple has its own credit company? So they lend money with interest. Maybe that's something new for some of us. So yes, their core business is computer, software, and hardware, but they do have a side business. How much profit they make from that side business, we do not know. We need to dig in depth and investigate, as they say. But generally speaking, no haram assets, no high debt asset ratio. A common, just explaining this. Okay. A very common question here, which is how to determine all these facts. Of course, like a common investor, okay, even if you hold like a PhD or even like master's or PhD in engineering or computer science, it does not mean that you do have enough tools to investigate and to unlock the secret of that portfolio. This is an area of specialization. So the best you can do is, number one, if you can roll over your retirement account with any of those socially responsible socially responsible, ethically responsible, Muslim-owned mutual fund companies. Alhamdulillah, we do have a lot in the USA. We have Azad Fund, we have Amana, we have Sharia Portfolio, we have Zaki Financial, we have maybe 10, 15 different socially responsible Muslim-owned mutual fund companies. Of course, they are not in the same level of Sharia compliance, by the way, but at least they claim that their business is a Sharia compliant one. So if you can roll over from Fidelity, let's say, to a Azad fund, that actually will give you a peace of mind. Those people know very well how to pick and choose from the stock market and do a halal investment. And mashallah, their investment is profitable. In addition to the fact that it is halal, not only that, they do have a way to filterize, okay, or to cleanse, cleanse your portfolio from any haram that might contaminate it. And if you want to authorize them to pay zakat on your behalf, your 401k, they can do that. Let me suggest two different companies that I know them very well because I'm the Sharia consultant in those companies. One of them is called Zaki Financial, Z-A-K-I, ZakiFinancial.com. If you can roll over your account to that company, you will do yourself a favor. You don't need to worry about all these technical details. They know their business very well, and I'm sure that their practice is good enough because I'm the Sharia consultant in that company. The other one is called Atina, A-A-T-I-N-A-A, .co, not .com, .co. Why there is no enter, then I don't know. You have usually .com, right? But this one is .co. Atina, A-A-T-I-N-A-A.co. This company actually, this company does not allow you to roll over your retirement account. They play the role of a consultant. Like if you subscribe with them for $25 or $30 a month or whatever, they send you either text messages or emails that we have sold such and such stock. We have bought such and such stock. They just send it like FYI. If you want, you can just follow them. So you can sell whatever they have sold and you can buy whatever they have bought. But it is actually your decision. You open an account with ATM, like ATM, Trade, or whatever app that you feel comfortable with, and then you subscribe with Athena, and they start sending you those text messages or emails, and it is your call. You want to follow them, you want to just ignore those text messages. It's absolutely up to you. They do have actually a good service, which is a free report. If you go to their website, athena.co, there is a search bar. If you enter the name of the company that you want to invest in, let's say for example Apple or Walmart or Green or whatever, the website will generate a very short report about the Sharia compliance of that particular stock. Athena.co actually is very conservative. They go even beyond the AOP standards. Like for example, the AOP is asking for a maximum of 30% debt asset ratio, okay, or debt capital, debt asset ratio, in order for you to exclude that stock. Athena, they go with 25%. Yeah, once the debt is 25%, they just drop it. They exclude it. So they are extremely, I would say, conservative when it comes to investment. So if you want to have a peace of mind and you are interested, for example, investing in a few stocks, okay, you just go to Athena.co and enter the code, okay, of those stocks, and you will see that report. You can click read more if you want to read more details about that stock. Generally speaking, investing in the stock market could be individual retirement accounts or investment accounts, and it could be employer-based. Usually when it is an individual one, right, like simple investment account, brokerage account, IRA, Roth, or the regular one, I mean, you are the decision maker. You can just pick and choose and set together your own portfolio. If that is the case, then you have to be, as Sharia compliant as possible when it comes to picking and choosing for your investment. A part of your financial stability and sustainability again is to take care of the expenses, or to plan from now to take care of the expenses of your kids whenever they grow. Okay? Why don't you open a 529 account for the education proceeds from now? Why don't you open an AGMA account, UJMA AGMA account for your minors? So whenever they turn 18 or 20 years old, they will be having maybe thousands, not even tens of thousands of dollars designated there waiting for them to go to college and to take care of their own expenses, tuition fees and living expenses. So take that into consideration. If it is an individual retirement account, it has to be Sharia compliant. If it is an employer-based, whether it is 401k, 403b, if you work for non-for-profit, organizations or charity organizations, if it is a pension plan, then it has to be as Sharia compliant as possible. Someone asked me yesterday about the zakat on your retirement account. Briefly, what we believe in as a fiqh council, as Amjad, is that you need to find out every single year in the zakat you did, which is most probably, I would say, in the month of Ramadan. Okay, how much is the accessible or the withdrawable amount? If you apply for hardship or humanitarian case, how much you'll be having an access to? And bear in mind that this is a very theoretical calculation. You don't have to physically withdraw the money. You just ask yourself a question, just pick up the phone the month of Ramadan and talk to a live agent. If your retirement account, if its market value, let's say, is $1 million, for example, and you have an access up to 50% of your account, the withdrawable, the withdrawable or the accessible amount is 50%, then in our example, you have $500,000 accessible, right? You start your math with those $500,000. Forget about the other $500,000. Now, if you decide to proceed, you will not be taking home $500,000. There is like a prescribed penalty and tax and sometimes even interest, processing fees, whatever. Do your math and find out how much you have to pay if you want to proceed. Now that net amount so far is the zakatable one. You have two options. If you want to be in the safe side, you just pay zakat on that amount based on 2.5% zakat rate. And if you want to go with the book, as they say, if you want to limit yourself to paying zakat only from that amount, you still can deduct another maybe 15-20% usul thabita, fixed assets, because those stocks actually, or those companies, do not have 100% commodities and merchandise and goods, right? They do have fixed assets like offices and machineries and tools and devices and furniture and so on and so forth. So you can take safely another maybe 15-20%. The net amount is the zakatable one, and you pay zakat based on 2.5%. And you do the same exercise every single year in the month of Ramadan if you pay your zakat in the month of Ramadan. If you prefer to pay your zakat in the month of December for tax, like income tax filing purposes, that would be fine. Make sure that the zakat rate is not 2.5, no, it's 2.5, 2.575, 2.75, sorry, 2.75 to accommodate the 10 days difference, right, between the regular calendar and the lunar calendar. There are 10 days different. So instead of 2.5, make it 2.75 zakat rate, and you pay your zakat based on that. If you believe that this opinion is the most reasonable, because actually we do have some other two extreme opinions. One of them says that your retirement account is zakatable 100%. So every single dollar that you have is zakatable, which is something like way too much. We do not believe that this is the right opinion, because one of the conditions for the zakatability of any wealth is what is called al-mulku tam, like full ownership and full access. Yes, whatever you have in your account is yours, whether your payment or the match of your employer, but you do not have full access to it. So we do not believe that this is an accurate opinion. Now the other extreme opinion, goes that your retirement account is zakat free or zakat exempt all the way until the age of 65 or whatever the retirement age might be. So whenever you retire and you have full access to your account, according to that opinion, you start paying zakat. We do believe that both opinions actually are two different extreme opinions. So we hold the stick from the middle, as they say. You go with the withdrawable amount or accessible amount minus any prescribed, penalty, tax, processing fees, or whatever. Net amount, you either pay zakat on it, or you take another 15-20% and you pay zakat on the rest of it. This is briefly what I have, very briefly, regarding retirement accounts and investing in the stock market. The second topic actually was Allahumma salli ala shafi'ina insurance. You all know that the mainstream opinion that has been repeated over and over for the last 60 or 70 years, which is the differentiation between the government-based insurance versus the commercial one. And according to this mainstream opinion, that any kind of government-based insurance, in the United States in particular, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these government-based insurance. Of course, they cover different aspects, right? At the end of the day, all of them actually are kind of insurance, either health insurance or just like regular retirement account. So according to the mainstream opinion, anything that is related to the government, or otherwise if it is a kind of mutual-based insurance. And just FYI, mutual-based insurance is a kind of structure where we do not have two different bodies within the company. We do not have the stakeholders, okay, versus the policyholders. No, every single policyholder actually is a stakeholder, so is an owner of the company. That's why they call it mutual-based insurance. Now the third one, which is the commercial one, actually it is a stock-based one. Stock-based one means that we do have two different bodies within the company. We have the policyholders who are completely different from the stockholders or the owners of that company. Anyway, according to the mainstream opinion and I would say the different fiqh councils, they say that if the insurance is a government-based or a mutual-based, then by default it is halal one, because the main, again, I'm just narrating what they say, it's not my opinion. Because the main reason behind it actually is to support the participants or the members in that insurance system. There is no profit motive behind it. I mean, that's the justification. So any kind of riba, any kind of uncertainty, whatever, gharar, okay, ambiguity could be overlooked because we are here to support one another. Versus the commercial insurance. Commercial insurance actually, according to the mainstream network, it does involve riba if it is life insurance because you pay less and you get more, right? And you receive for either yourself or your family members upon your death. And it does have gharar, you pay on a monthly basis or periodically without knowing what you will be getting in return. This actually was my opinion all the way until back 2015, 2016. When I started really revisiting my position, I mean, this is my personal opinion from now on. It's not AMJA position. AMJA or Fiqh Council is still standing with the mainstream network. I did actually go back to a book called At-Ta'min, Ta'rifuhu وحكمه, I think, by Sheikh Mustafa Zarqa rahmatullah. Sheikh Mustafa Zarqa actually is a well-known Syrian Hanafi scholar who passed away, I think, 30 plus years ago. He was a member rahmatullah in different fiqh councils, and subhanAllah, from day one, along with Sheikh Al-Khafif from Al-Azhar, Egypt, and some other mashayikh, they were like forming a very, very small minority in those fiqh councils, who were very clear from day one that insurance as a concept is a halal one. So, like for my curiosity, as they say, I just went back to his book and read it, wallahi, word by word, sentence by sentence. and I read it twice, not only once, until I, subhanAllah, reached the conclusion that Sheikh Dr, who was actually the pioneer of those scholars who declared from day one that insurance as a concept is a halal. Maybe there is a kind of exploitation or abuse or bulm in the real practice, right? But as a concept, according to him, I mean, insurance is halal. The conclusion of his book is the following. He raised like a very innocent question. The meaning of his question is that when you have an account with the Social Security Administration in the USA, what does it mean? It means that a certain amount of your salary, right, goes automatically to your account, okay, either by choice or by force, or whatever. The Social Security Administration is telling you, listen, if you pay me $200 every single month, okay, and then something happened to you, you passed away, Allah forbid you became like, handicapped, disabled, do not worry, I will take care of your family members. I will pay your wife such and such amount until the end of your life. Your kids will be paid this amount until the age of 18, and this amount until the age of 26, and then they are by their own. So they are telling you, if you commit yourself to paying me a premium, I will be paying to your family members an amount, right? Most probably that amount of the total that your family members will be receiving is way, way more than what you have paid during your lifetime. The life insurance company, according to Sheikh Dr, is telling you the same. If you commit yourself to paying me $200 a month, and Allah forbid something happened to you, do not worry, rest in peace. I will pay your family members, not on a monthly basis. I'm going to pay them like one wet check of $500,000 or $1 million, right? So according to his analysis, this is a bilateral agreement with the Social Security Administration, or with the Medicare, or with the Medicaid, right? Bilateral agreement means two-sided commitment. Premium has to be paid from your side, right? And insurance benefit has to be paid from their side. With all due respect, they are not doing you a favor. There is no benevolence or cooperation or sadaqah or none of the above actually apply. This is a legal agreement, right? You pay the premium, you are entitled to get insurance benefit. For some reason, okay, if you did not contribute to the Social Security and then you passed away, they will not sympathize with you or with your family members because you were like a good person and a community server, and they will like pay your family members for free. It doesn't go this way, because again, this is a legal bilateral contract or agreement. So you pay a premium, you are entitled to receive insurance benefit in a certain case or in certain cases. The life insurance company is doing the same according to the Sheikh. He said that they tell you, pay me $200 and I will commit to paying your family members maybe $500,000 or $1 million upon your death. And then he raised the question, what is the difference from a fiqh perspective, from a legal perspective, between the first approach and the second approach? And the answer is that there is no difference whatsoever. There is no difference. Based on that, he said, listen, you either prohibit everything and make the life of people like very hard, no Social Security, no Medicare, no Medicaid, alhamdulillah, okay? And no life insurance, no health insurance, no car insurance, none. Or otherwise, you allow everything. And according to his analysis, the insurance agreement is a brand new, is an unprecedented agreement. It's not a sale, it's not a lease to own, it's just a brand new contract that actually people innovated, that brings the best interest to the society at large and keeps the financial risk to the minimum. And according to him, actually, insurance as a concept is a very Sharia compliant concept. This does not mean that there is no abuse, financial abuse or exploitation or taking advantage right, of the customers or the policyholders. This is the practice, but I'm talking about the concept. So according to the Sheikh, actually, insurance as a concept is a halal one. I officially, changed my mind. Okay, this is like my personal capacity, and I do believe actually that insurance basically actually is a halal by default agreement, and there is no, there is no hurma or prohibition involved in it because of the analysis of that the Sheikh Rahmatullah alayhi actually came up with. And according to our fiqh council, again, Amjad as a fiqh council is still standing with the mainstream, position of that differentiation between government-based from one side versus the commercial one. But we are 7 members. 2 of us, myself and another member, Sheikh Walid Binesi, he also believes that insurance is halal. What I want to say is that the number of people of knowledge or scholars who are changing their mind, okay, and switching from saying that insurance is haram by default to saying that insurance is halal by default is increasing rapidly. And wallahu alam, I would anticipate that maybe within the next maybe 10, 15 years, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extend our life, you will hear and see even fiqh councils are changing their mind, not just a matter of time, because the mindset is already there. Insurance is haram, insurance is haram. Now with those number of scholars who are changing their mind, who are members in different fatwa committees, in different fiqh councils, wallahu alam, the mainstream fatwa will be changed soon, within just a few years from now. So that is the insurance. The third and the last one we said cryptocurrency. Jazakallah. Cryptocurrency is, number one, decentralized currency. There is no financial authority behind it. Okay? When you hold like dollar bills, okay, those bills or fiat, currency, do not have any intrinsic value, but they are backed up by the authority, by the regime, or by the government of the United States. Okay? The central bank or the Federal Reserve is standing behind it. So it is a centralized one. Now, cryptocurrency in general is a decentralized one. We do not know who is standing behind it. This is number one. And that's why the authenticity and the trust that you have in this currency is not like the trust that you have in the American dollar. Common sense. Number two, there is a huge, significant fluctuation in the purchase power of the cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general. One of our young people in Houston, 5 years ago, he invested $250,000 cash purchasing cryptocurrency. SubhanAllah, within 5 years, less than 5 years, the amount jumped from $2 million to almost $1 billion. He hit $1 billion. And then within just a few weeks, the amount went down all the way to $150,000. So his total loss was $850,000. And subhanAllah, I advised him from day one, telling him that his name is Muhammad. Muhammad, cryptocurrency is a fake, is an artificial, unreal investment. Okay? In my opinion, real estate is the real investment. Okay? Take the stairs like step by step, buy real estate, rental properties, make some money, wait for 3, 4, 5 years, sell the property, make some profit from the appreciation, okay, and go just slowly but steady, right? When it comes to cryptocurrency, you just keep jumping up and down in a very unstable way. Sometimes you make incredible profit, and within just a few hours, a few days, you go all the way down. This is actually not the way that people in the Islamic finance system invest. And I just said several times, you need to invest in something that makes sense. Can you tell me what are you buying and what are you selling? nothing tangible, nothing beneficial. You take a huge amount of risk when you invest your money in cryptocurrency. Number three, some people actually use cryptocurrency for illegal activities, namely money laundering, right? Because of those three reasons, cryptocurrency is not nowadays in 2022. It's not a purely haram option or something that you have to stay away from. We cannot say that. We do not dare say it is haram because the amount of acknowledgement or acceptance is increasing rapidly. I mean, you cannot compare the general acceptance of cryptocurrency in 2022 with the same back in 2015 or 2016. Am I correct? Well, in the United States, believe it or not, the IRS itself started charging tax on cryptocurrency since 2021, which is a kind of direct or indirectly acknowledgement of cryptocurrency. A lot of intercontinental corporations and companies do accept cryptocurrency as a method of payment, right? Different central banks all over the world, global-wise, they do acknowledge cryptocurrency. So one of the reasons behind the legitimacy, if you wish, of any currency is what is called al-qabul al-am, the general acceptance. Nowadays, we cannot just put our heads in the sand and act as if nothing happened. Well, the cryptocurrency is surrounding us 24/7. It is there, right? However, because of what I already explained, I would highly recommend, and this is our official position at MJ, that cryptocurrency is not haram. No one actually would dare say it's haram. And by the way, we do have some good number of scholars and even fatwa councils who do believe. Just a few days ago, I came across a fatwa. Well, I forget the name of the body, but they have mentioned clearly that cryptocurrency is haram. You have to stay away from it. Okay? The Grand Mufti of Egypt, I think 2 years ago, Mufti Jumhuriyat Masr al-Arabi, after cryptocurrency is haram. But anyway, long story short, our position as a council, as MJ, is that cryptocurrency is not extremely prohibited. It's something that is, I would say, makruh, stay away from it. If you insisted in investing in it and you do have a certain amount designated for investment, I would suggest that you do not exceed maybe 10% if you're saving, to invest in the cryptocurrency. But the rest of it actually has to be invested in something that makes sense, that brings some benefit, because cryptocurrency does not make any sense whatsoever. This is actually briefly what I have regarding cryptocurrency, and the floor actually is yours. But
you mentioned the accessibility of the 401k. Some funds allow you to borrow from the 401k and borrow and return with the interest, but it's to yourself, to your fund. Is this part of the accessible amount or not for zakat purposes?
Yes, and borrowing from your 401k is not really a borrowing. It is not. Yeah, sure. How can I access the questions?
You can ask for the answer.
I think there should be here access.
On the more? Under more?
What is the change?
It's under more?
Under. Somebody will try. But for the questions from here.
So the first question actually was regarding borrowing from the 401k. Yes, it is allowed to borrow, and whatever you can borrow from your 401k is a part of the accessible amount. Borrowing actually is permissible, although it is an interest-bearing loan, but in reality it's not a loan, because whatever you have in the 401k actually is your money, and you borrow from it because that's a tax exempt or tax advantage, they call it money. But technically it's not a loan, right? You borrow money and you pay it back with interest, that just goes back to the same account. So it makes it clear that you are withdrawing from your account, you are not borrowing. No.
Can you explain how zakat goes with stocks? Like if you're investing, not the retirement fund, just regular stocks, and how is it different from retirement fund? Like if you only
Zakat
retire
on
from the
investment
stocks,
in the stock market.
yes, general, yeah, if you're investing in stock market, how does the zakat
Okay,
work?
that's a good question. The sister actually is asking why there is a difference in the zakat on the investment in the stock market if it is within your retirement account versus outside retirement account. The answer is that your retirement account is a very restricted account. You are not supposed to touch it or to take from it during your employment period. Is that correct? However, as a kind of exception, you do have an access to a certain percentage as needed only. Like when you file for what do you call it, hardship or humanitarian case, it depends on the policy of your employer, okay, and the policy of the investment company who is handling the investment. Generally speaking, they will give you up to 40 or 50%. That's why you need to go with the formula that I will explain. You go with the accessible amount minus the prescribed, and so on and so forth. Anything else that is outside your retirement account is accessible 100%. Now, having said that, people have two different preferences. Some people actually are happy with the dividend or the profit that they make in the stock market. So you open a simple investment account with $50,000, and that account actually makes few thousand as a profit without you speculating, buying and selling. If this is your common practice, okay, then you do not have to pay zakah on the stocks. You pay zakah on the dividend only. Because that scenario is very equivalent or very similar, identical to someone who has a rental property. If you have a rental house, you rent it to others, right? You do not pay zakah on the market value of the house. You pay zakah on the resale value. You generate money and you pay zakah on it. That's exactly the case when it comes to investing in the stock market while being inactive. You do not trade, you do not speculate on a regular basis. If you do otherwise, if you are active in the stock market, every now and then, like you keep watching the news and the Yahoo Finance, right? Sometimes you feel your blood pressure like going up and down with the different prices of the stocks. If that is the case, then you pay zakah on everything. On the
Same
stocks,
with real estate, right?
yeah,
You said
on
the
the
house,
stocks and on the dividend as well.
which is the same concept with the house. If you're leaving the house and just renting, is different from your trading in houses. You're buying and selling houses all the time now. That's your investment. So you cannot.
Your homestead, the one that you're living in, is zakah exempt.
Oh, of course. But I meant trading in stocks in the second way of like buying and selling is similar to someone trading in real estate as well, like buying and selling homes all the time.
Yes, everything is called old tijar, everything is for sale,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, you pay zakah on everything. Now, by the way, if you have an account in a mutual fund company, you might think that you are not trading regularly, but the reality actually is otherwise, because the mutual fund company is investing and trading in your behalf. So everything that you have in your account is zakatable. Okay? The stocks or the face value of the stocks or the market value and the dividend as well. And it does not make any difference, by the way, whether you withdraw the dividend cash when you put it in your pocket or you capitalize the dividend, you put it back in the account, to purchase more stocks, makes no difference. Everything actually in the account is zakatable. Right. Totally.
So many times, as an employee, you will be responsible about some financial issues, and these financial issues are related to interest. So, what is your recommendation in dealing with these financial issues, work-related financial issues? For example, maybe you are making a startup and you are getting a fund, and this fund, there is some sort of interest on that fund. So what is your...
Where did the interest of it come from? This one?
I'm just mentioning an example. For example, maybe there is some accounts that you are responsible for, and these have interest for, like another example, maybe you are a manager for a small company, and the company wants to take some loans in order to expand, and you have to be involved in these loans to move the company up. So what is your position as an employee in that?
Well, look, it has to be taken on a case by case basis. Number one, if you know the source of the interest and you are able to avoid it, then you have to avoid it, right? For example, you are the business owner. You are the one who makes decision when to borrow, how much to borrow, what kind of loan you are willing to borrow. If that is your decision, then it goes without saying that you have to stay away from whatever is harm. Number two, if it is not your decision, like you work for others, okay, make sure that the one who borrows the money is not you, right? Because if the hadith عن الله وآكل الربا وموكله وكاتبه وشاهديه وصفت على is cursing the one who consumes riba, the one who feeds riba, the one who script or write down the writer of the interest, and even the two witnesses, right? So make sure that if it is not your decision, at least you stay away from processing, facilitating, applying, documenting, the riba transaction. If you did not know, for example, that a certain transaction or certain business generates interest, like what we explained yesterday, saving accounts, if you still remember, right? I did not know that opening a saving account is harm, and I do have $300, $400, $500 interest in my saving account. If that is the case, you just dispose that amount. You put it in the masjid, you give it to needy individuals. Don't spend that money on yourself or on family members or any of your dependents. Just dispose that money. And by any chance, if you can stop, okay, or just cancel or shut down that business or that source of interest, then actually you have to do. If you cannot, then just keep it as is. A good example for that is the money market account. Money market account is a kind of saving account. You cannot have any business in the stock market without having money market account, right? Well, if that is the case, which is the case, then keep it as is. Use that money market account for settlement purposes only. And if it does generate any interest, try to track that interest and just dispose it on a regular basis. I mean, that's the best you can do.
So, for example, you are, say, a manager for a small company, and the owner decides to take a loan. And as a representative of the company, you will sign the forms and and be responsible of representing the company in front of a financial institution to get these loans and run the business.
You need to avoid it as much as you can.
Okay.
If you cannot, and you wish to have like a get in, as they say, right? And this is your source of income, and there's nothing available, as an alternative. And the core business of the company is halal. You work, like, for example, for a grocery store, or for a car dealership, or accessories, or like accessories business, or whatever is halal, right? Every now and then the owner decides to, take a loan, and you are your responsible party to get involved in it. As I said, avoid it as much as you can. If you cannot, then in the law of Allah.
How about option trading? Buying calls, selling calls, puts, and all the options.
Option is not an option.
Option is not an
Option is not an option. Option means you do not own anything. Like when you hold the stock, for example, it means that you have an undefined percentage of ownership of that company. It could be like 1 out of 1 million, right? But at least you own something, right? When you purchase an option, can you explain to me what do you own? Is it a commodity? Is it a merchandise? Is it a good? Is it a service?
When you sell an option, you sell a contract for stocks you have. This is what
No,
we name it covered calls.
No. I'm looking for an answer for my question.
Yeah.
When you purchase an option, what are you buying?
It's a contract. A contract
Contract.
to buy.
Does it have any value, contract?
Its value depends.
Like when I purchase a stock from Apple, it means that I belong or one of the owners of that company that manufactures software and hardware. But when you purchase an option, you are not buying anything that doesn't have the value. So it's not a commodity, it's not a service, it's not a merchandise, it's none of the above. Maybe like one exception here, maybe, I'm not sure. If you purchase a stock, if you purchase an option, okay, for $5, belongs to a stock, right? that its market value is $100. And once you buy that option, it means that you lock the price for a certain period of time. Is that correct? If you decide, if you are able to, and you decide to proceed with buying that stock itself, not selling the option to somebody, no, buying that stock itself. If you are required to pay only $95, okay, 95 because you already paid $5 option, that might be a way or another to justify the permissibility of that option, which is in the real life actually does not happen. Because when you purchase an option, the only thing you can do is to sell that option to somebody else, right? And according to Majab al-Fiqhiyya, options are, are not, I would say, permissible financial instrument that is ready for trading. So just as I said in the beginning, option is not an option.
Okay.
Sister Said,
Assalamu alaikum. I have a question for you from yesterday's talk. Is there a limit on how much money I can borrow from, let's say, guidance residential on buying multiple houses?
Is there any limit where you can borrow?
How much? Yeah, like how many houses can I buy with borrowing from them?
Oh, well, according to MJ Fatwa, I mean, you can finance your home, like for residential purposes. There is nothing in writing, but actually we are verbally in agreement recently that if you want to finance with guidance residential for commercial purposes, you can go for it. So you already secured your own home, and you have some saving. You wanna buy like a rental property. Can you finance another house with guidance residential? Our answer actually is yes, because halal investment is equivalent to having a place to live in. So this is one of the options, or one of the halal options for which to invest. So you can like finance another second house, a third house with guidance residential. That will be fine. Okay.
You mentioned when calculating zakah on retirement accounts that one of the things that we subtract is an amount like 15% for the
Fixed assets?
for the fixed asset.
Right.
So why would you please explain a little bit more on this? Why would we do this as long
Right.
as that
Because
amount-
I believe the fixed assets are not zakatable. Like if you have your own business, let's say for example you have car dealership, right? The office that you have and the office itself, like the construction, the building, and the furniture, and the software and devices and the tools, right? And the mechanic, tools that you use to fix those cars before selling them, are they zakatable? They are not. They only urud al-tijara, only the cars that you have in your lot are the zakatable ones. Okay? And likewise, companies actually in corporate America have 15, 20, sometimes 25, percent of the value of the stock of that company represents fixed assets. Offices, cars, machineries, tools, all those different utilities, if you wish, are zakat exempt. So you don't have to pay zakat.
So when we sell stocks, we assume that we are selling part of assets and part of
Yes, the majority should reflect. If it is a commercial one, right? Not industrial one. Industrial actually is different, right? Like you hold the stock belongs to GMC or to Ford, for example. Okay, maybe the percentage actually is different. But to keep it simple, okay, the stock represents commodities or merchandise from one side and fixed assets from the other side. Fixed assets are zakat exempt.
So do we do the same when we calculate zakah on stocks, normal stocks, not retirement?
Yes.
And how do we know the percent?
Well, you need to ask, like, company, like the company. You need to ask some specialists, people, because stock actually vary from one to another. Stock belongs to a service company, is different than commercial, different than industrial, right? Different than construction. So it varies. Right. Okay, does the time value profit more than halal because of an assumption that the item being sold will appreciate with that? If no, then where is the risk sharing aspect? I guess this is the same brother who asked me the question yesterday. He's chasing me online. Right. Let me the question again. Time very profit. And then it's halal. And I'm not sure of what you mean by time value profits model halal. Yeah, what I was saying yesterday is that having different prices for the same commodity based on the duration of the payment is halal, as simple as that. يعني هناك فرق بين الثمن البيع النقدي والبيع بالتقسيط. If I do have a car for $5,000 cash, or the same car for $6,000 for 1 year installment, or $7,000 for 3 years, I do have the right to increase the price based on the duration of the installment. Because if the market value of the car is $5,000, right? Can I ask for $6,000 cash for that car? Yes, I can. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, there's a lot of transparency in the market. You take it or you leave it. You can just Google that car, go to KBB or to whatever website and just find out the market value. If you like it, you buy it. Well, if I can ask for $6,000 cash for a car that its market value is $5,000, why cannot ask for this $6,000 to be broken down into 1 year? So again, having different price for the same commodity based on the sale, whether it is a spot sale versus credit sale, is permissible. I mean, this is the best explanation actually I have in mind. So I couldn't hear because sound online cut off for a few seconds. Did you say stock that is not traded often is only zakat or dividend? Yes. If you have stocks in the market and you are inactive in a sense that you do not buy and sell periodically like those who are very active in the stock market, then yes, you need to pay zakat on the dividend of those profits, not on the market value. Okay, why is stock traded as cash rather than a partnership share for zakat purposes? Why is the stock traded as cash rather than a partnership share for zakat purposes? Any conditions where it can be treated as ownership share? Well, it depends on the nature of the company that stock belongs to. But generally speaking, I mean, the stock is a kind of urud tijara. When you hold the stock, as I said, it means that you own a certain percentage of that company. And if that company actually is for profit purposes, they make money, then actually you are one of the owners of that company. Thus you have to pay zakat on the stock that you have within certain criteria. Well, okay. One of them actually is below the stock to reach the threshold of the minimum like market value, which is 85 grams of gold, which is nowadays I would say around maybe $4,500. Right. More about the problem.
So I mean, from your PowerPoint, you had mentioned that the Sharia compliant stock, they should have no high debt ratio. So if I get some restricted stock benefit from my employer, and if the employer has some high debt ratio, so is this stock halal for me or not halal?
So if the stocks that you receive from your employer do have high debt asset ratio,
Yes.
like what are the other options that you have? I mean, can you excuse yourself and just go to the stock market and pick and choose your own stocks? Or?
No, so they I mean when they are offering me the stock as a signing bonus, but their core business is halal, but the high debt ratio, asset ratio is high. I mean it's like more than 5%. So is there any percentage that is considered that halal or not halal?
Well, according to IOFI, which is the International Standardization of Investment, they said if the debt asset ratio is 30% or more, Now, in Amgen or from the council, we said that you need to keep that asset ratio to the minimum, without specifying a certain percentage. I'll give you an example. If you do have two options, okay, well, not options, two stocks, I'll take it back. If you have two stocks, one of them has 30% debt, and the other one has 20% debt, and both of them actually make reasonable profit. You cannot go with the 30% one, you have to go with the 20% one, right? Now, likewise, the two stocks that you have, one of them has 30 and one of them has 50. Those are the only options you have. Well, you can go in this case with the 30% and you can't go with the 50% based on going with the minimum debt asset ratio. So it depends, it differs like from one situation to another. Back to your question, if this is the only thing you have and you have no choice to pick and choose and you are getting the stock, as they say, with the stocks of your own employer, just give them as is. Maybe you can increase your sadaqah or donation, your zakah, like to get rid of the haram involved in your business. Wow. Okay.
So back to the inactive stocks option. Once you sell the stocks, do you have to pay the zakah on the spot, or is it regular cash, like a year has to pass and whatnot?
No, you don't have to sell the stocks to pay zakah.
No, the inactive stocks.
Inactive?
Once you sell them and you get cash for them, do you pay the zakah on the spot?
No.
Or regular cash, like
No,
it
you
goes
just wait for 1 year or more. Yeah. Because actually you will pay zakah on the dividend, right?
So most employers give like a benefit that's like a stock program, and according to one of the criteria, you had no guaranteed profit. So part of the stock program is you get like 15% kind of guaranteed profit that you
Preferred stocks, they call them?
What?
Preferred stocks?
No, employee stock program. It's like a program that most employers give. And you can do quick sale within the 6-month period. You're guaranteed at least 15% or 20% or whatever. And they take basically the cheapest, kind of like from the time you bought at the beginning or the end, and then you're guaranteed 15% plus more if the stock actually did make more profit than 15%.
But it's really a discounted price.
Yeah, it's
not
a
guaranteed,
it's a benefit for the employees as a discount.
I would refer you to the ayah again. فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم. This is the only thing that you have, and it's not your choice to go with regular stocks versus prepared stocks. Just say as is. And the only solution is to increase your sadaqah based on your own discretion. How much is the volume of the violation, you put it this way, or the glitches in your investment, that asset ratio, interest-bearing investment, generated interest, from stocks, prepared stocks. How many violations that you have in your portfolio? Make your own assessment, and just maybe we can increase your sadaqah in addition to the zakah, and that's the best we can do.
I think the
Someone
question
is clarifying.
Let me just share with you.
Someone wants to
Can we
clarify the
Oh.
question. Go ahead.
Yes.
So-
Let me just share with you a fatwa that makes a lot of sense, although our council disagreed with it. This is actually a fatwa of one of our members who were joining us in the fatwa committee of Amjad, I think 18 years ago. He said the following: the retirement account, okay, is a part of the package of compensation that you receive from your employer. You as a professional or as an employee, you receive a monthly salary, right? And a health insurance, and a retirement account, sometimes life insurance, sometimes like a round trip, 2 weeks paid vacation, and so on and so forth. He said that the retirement account is a part of the package that you receive. So you deserve it in a way because of being employed by that company. And based on this justification, he said that you should not even worry about the way that your 401k is invested. Okay? Okay, whatever they decide to invest, that is their sin, that's their liability. Okay, they are the one who is committing the haram, and the money actually is halal for you. I mean, maybe you agree with me that it's like a very liberal, like very loose-ended liberal, fatwa, but actually it has a lot of sense. Although I disagree with it, I'm just sharing this fatwa with you to give you a peace of mind, and it's not white or black. Always there's a gray area. There's a different way of justifying the permissibility of the 401k. The bottom line here, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. If you can get rid of all these different components that makes you like nervous that your investment is not a halal one as you want, go for it. But if not, keep everything as is, and again just dispose the profits of that haram percentage, pay zakah on the rest of it, and this is the best you can do. Right, let's take the account over.
Yeah, I was just clarifying. I think this is part of the benefit. Basically, they hold your money for 6 months, and they give you stock of the company at the end of that period with 15% discount.
So they give you like a discounted price because of you being employee, something like
You're giving your money
It's
to
not
them.
guaranteed. It's not guaranteed percentage. It's a discount.
It's not guaranteed.
I mean, I don't think it is a guaranteed percentage. I think it's a discounted price. That's all. So.
And actually now I'm referring to the preferred stocks where their profit is guaranteed or their profit actually has a priority over the regular stocks. Like when there is a profit, they start with the preferred stocks, giving them their own profit, and the rest actually is to be shared by the rest of them.
Yeah, it's not
Not preferred.
Yeah. Preferred stock actually is not is not a halal option, by the way, because again like your profit is guaranteed. طيب, moving on. تفضل.
So I also have a question regarding stock. Now, if we can imagine a scenario, say I'm buying a stock. So I'm buying a stock, say from E-Trade or some other service provider. Now, sometimes what happens is that over the course of time, and that it happened recently for some of the companies, is that the price is overhyped, and it's overhyped so much. For some of the companies, the stock price increases 4 or 5 times, so within a span of few weeks, not in a span of few months. Now, sometimes some of the stocks, their price is so high that at that moment, if I take the total asset of the company, say all of their fixed assets, all of their products that they're producing, even including their opportunity cost, probably the price will come half or 1/3 of the total market value of the company. At that moment, if me or any Muslim brother, they sell the stock and get the price of the market price, what's the Islamic perspective of, say, getting that money? Because it happens because of the overhype of the market. Sometimes the opposite also happens, because we get the underrated stock price. And all of these things is tied to the over-security or insecurity of the consumers.
If I understood you correctly, you're talking about the status of selling a stock that is like fluctuating in its market value significantly up and down. Okay. Simply speaking,
can I clarify the question? Can I clarify the question?
Yes.
I think the brother, please correct me if I'm wrong. There is book value and there is market value. If they sell the assets today, what they get, versus what the stock market is saying the value of the assets are. So that's the difference, and sometimes the market value is way above the book value, and sometimes it's below the book value. So the brother is saying, is there any interpretation of?
Is it your option to sell based on the book value versus the market value? Then what is the question? I mean, if the stock has like a fixed price at a fixed time, then I'm just trying to get the question.
Can he take the opportunity selling at high and taking all these gains, if these gains are halal?
Absolutely. I mean, if it is proven that the stock is yours, then it is your call. You sell whatever you want for the price that you are asking for. Okay? I do not see any restriction here. Let me ask you this again. Why you think that you cannot sell at the time that you want? Why you have some doubt here?
Because he doesn't want to be rich.
You want to make profit?
No, because the price which is now currently sustained. Say for example, the stock price of Tesla. At one point, it increased to a level. Right now, I think the market value of Tesla is probably 1.5 trillion. But if you take all the fixed assets of Tesla, including all of their cars which are in the production line, which they didn't sell yet, and if you sell everything, probably the total price is going to be $450 billion. Now this extra money from 1.5 trillion to 450 billion, that extra $1.05 trillion, it is coming from the over-security of the consumers. Because I'm believing after 5 years, the company is going to be at a stage so that I can sell my investment to a certain value so that another person can be benefited from that. So this extra money, it is coming, it's actually virtual, it doesn't exist. There is no fixed asset to back this up. Now if I sell my stock and get money from that portion, is it going to be halal or not?
I'm not sure if I have an answer for this particular part of it, but again, generally speaking, once it is proven that you own a stock, so any fluctuation actually is you responsible, any profit is yours, any loss actually is incurred by you. You are the owner, you are the legal owner of the stock, and I would assume as a practice Muslim that you hold the stocks belong to halal business and they manage the criteria of halal investment. Once that is proven, then you sell whatever you want at the price that you are asking for. As simple as that. If there is like a virtual or a potential, profit difference between the book value versus the market value, that has, I would say has nothing to do with the permissibility of the decision that you want to make. You sell, whatever you want. Now,
my question is not the same, but kind of related. So, I've seen some fatwas that the short-term stock selling and buying is not halal. So I want your opinion on that.
Day trading.
Yeah, day trading or short-term trading. So I know some stock is getting high, so I'm gonna buy it and then just gonna sell it when everything is just very high and everyone is very high.
The only condition we have here is the liability issue. And once it's proven that again you are the liable party for that particular stock, if something happened, increase or decrease, appreciation, depreciation, whatever, you are the exclusive liable party for it, that would be on. In the Islamic finance system, there is no, I would say, like a minimum time or a maximum time to hold or to have a position like over something. Once it is yours, then you can sell it. Do you own and take that risk before you sell? If the answer is yes, I am the owner, whatever happened, I will be responsible for it, then that would be more than enough for you to be allowed to sell whenever you want at the price that you want.
So even if the time duration is just 1 day, it's fine.
That would be fine. Yeah. Because of the hadith that we discussed yesterday, al-kharaj al-daman, profit follows liability, if you remember.
It's also related to the brother. So, so some stocks basically you can track on. They're like highly shorted stocks that maybe have a potential of like squeezing, of like going into extreme prices. What's the ruling on that? Of just basically, if you do the right analysis and you know that there is a potential for doing like massive gains out of just buying and selling, but it will go to extreme prices that are not close to actual company value. It's just because there's the pressure, the buying pressure and everything. So what's the ruling on that?
Expectations of the Kareem, prediction of the profit or the loss, again, it has nothing to do with the permissibility of selling. Again, if it is proven that you own a stock, then whenever you feel confident that you want to sell it, you just sell it. Now, do you have a prediction or have some data shows that its market value will increase or decrease or stay as is? This has nothing to do with the permissibility for a decision. You sell it whatever you want. Let me take that. This is just some halal methods of investing in the real estate, ETF. Okay, transfer this money. Okay, when it comes to ETF, actually it's a kind of, when it comes to ETF, actually, it's just a kind of mutual fund, but it is like works on algorithm more than to be hands-on. But at the end of the day, you are the one who sets the criteria. What do you want to invest in, and what do you want to include, what do you want to exclude, right? So when it comes to real estate, I mean, my personal preference is to invest in the, on the ground. Like you buy a property, you rent it to others for a few years, and then you sell it for a higher price. We have done this kind of aside business at Guidance College, for a certain period of time. We used to buy properties, like rental properties, renting them for 2 or 3 years, and then we just sell them for profit. We make some money from the resale value. We make some money from the appreciation, the difference in the market value from the time that we buy and the time we sell. And this is actual real, investment. As I always say, real estate is the real investment. It's an actual, real, tangible, halal, investment. Maybe the profit margin is not as high as a cryptocurrency, but at least you invest in something that makes a lot of sense, unlike cryptocurrency. No. But totally.
So similar question. Yesterday you mentioned something about you cannot sell something that you do not possess, right? That's prohibited. Correct? So to me, stock market seems like I don't possess any of it, but how can I sell it? Or to me, it seems like it's a gamble of money.
You do not possess what? I'm sorry?
Stock market, like you don't possess any of the value, right?
Well, position actually differs from one commodity to another. When you own a phone, then you have to hold it and have it as your own, right? When you own a house, it means that the deed of trust or the title actually is under your name. So again, it depends on what kind of property, what kind of commodity you are referring to. Now, in the stock market, once the stock is under your name, then you are the owner. You are the owner. You are the legal owner of that stock. You can buy, you can sell, you can just keep it, you can do whatever you want with it. So whatever is well known in a certain society, in a certain legal system, that this is the ownership, the legal ownership, then it is the legal ownership. As simple as that.
How is stock market different than gambling?
Well, it's not gambling. Well, let me ask you this: how is simple investment in the real life different from gambling? When you open a grocery store, is there any guarantee that you'll make a profit? There's no guarantee, right? I mean, you just try, and you might make a profit, and you might lose, right? Can we say that opening a grocery store, or opening a car dealership is a kind of gambling because you might profit, you might lose? No, it is not. It's not. I mean, it's an actual, real business where you buy and you sell and you spend time and effort and improve your business with the hope that you'll make a profit. It's not gambling. Gambling is just an easy profit. You buy a ticket for $20,000 with the hope of winning $5,000 or $10,000 without involving actual, real business in between. But when you open a grocery store or a car dealership, you buy a commodity and you sell it and you maintain it and you take care of it and you spend time and effort, you produce something, you serve the community, you add some value to the society, okay? And at the end of the day, you make profit. I mean, it's an actual, real business. That's the difference.
Are there any limitations on the broker fees? Does it have to be, is it okay to be a percentage? Is it okay to be a fixed amount, minimum? Are there any limitations, or is it wide open? Depends on the
No limitation. It depends on, as they say, supply and demand, and whatever is well known to be the mainstream practice in a certain society, in a certain industry. For example, عقود المضاربة, for example, when you receive money from someone to invest on his behalf. Okay? In certain industries, you ask for 50%. Other industries, you ask for only 20%. It depends on, again, supply and demand.
So I've just learned about this inactive stocks that we pay zakat only on the dividend. So just thinking, why don't we treat the retirement account as an inactive investment, since actually it is the most inactive investment that we have. We don't track it, we don't follow it daily. I mean, so
Well, it is.
can't we just pay the zakah on the like the dividends that we gain from the retirement account?
I disagree because your retirement account is a very active account. And the investment company usually does not sleep on those financial instruments that we have. They just keep speculating and trading and watching the news and buying and selling, and that's how they make money. So you are inactive in the sense that you designate that job or you outsource that job to Fidelity or to Vanguard. But it doesn't mean that the account itself is inactive. No, it is very active. But someone actually is doing the job on your behalf. This is number one. And number two, because of that account being so restricted or limited, then you go with the formula that we suggested, withdrawal amount minus prescribed penalty and so on and so forth. Over.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to shift to housing, buying houses. You talked yesterday about a loan versus a business agreement. And we always talk about buying houses through banks or through Islamic finances. What about when family members or friends are trying to help a family member buy a house? Today we're talking about a house of about $600,000. Let's say there's three friends. One of them wants to buy a house. He has 200, and each has 200. Can they go into a business venture together to support their friend while they also benefit? So it's not that they're giving him a loan, but let's say Omar is buying a house and Ali and Muhammad are his friends. Each got $200,000. The house will be registered under Omar's name, and Ali and Muhammad will go into some kind of a business deal with him, whether it is a deferred payments that will give them a total of 250 each, or some kind of a rent-to-own situation that they will end up with, say, 250 each at the end of the duration of that period. So they each gonna gain about 50,000 from some form of agreement. Is there room for that?
Yeah, that would be fine with one condition, Akhi. Those two investors, okay, in order for them to justify the $50,000 extra that they're looking for, they have to be owners of the house in the same way that Umar, which is the their customer, if you wish, is an owner. I mean, this is a fundamental requirement. We can't proceed with murabaha, which is the cost plus, like they buy for $400,000 and then they sell for $500,000. So they step in and they step out. Well, we have to make sure that they step in. They own the house and then they sell it back with a higher price. They can do with the ijar one, lease to own. But they have to add their name to the deed of trust as owners, right? And they lease their share to Umar.
So
whatever they want to go to, murabaha or ijar in this case, or even musharaka, like what guidance residential does. They get involved in a declining partnership. So those two gentlemen can buy the property jointly with Umar and then sign with him the declining partnership. And of course they have to comply with the requirements of the declining partnership, maintenance, tax, insurance, until Umar kicks them out of the deal by buying gradually their share. Whatever modifiers they choose to go with, any one of them requires ownership first to be proven before they proceed. Simple as that.
And it has to be documented on the deed.
Oh, it has to be documented, yeah. Yeah, in the same way that we can prove that Umar is the owner of the property, those two gentlemen have to be owners of the same level of legal ownership like Umar himself.
Yeah, but a follow-up for this, for the Islamic institutions that gives loan, they don't have a true partnership. They don't have their name on the title like guidance or Devon. They do not share losses if he went into a default or if he sat at a loss. They don't share property tax. They don't share maintenance. So how can this be a true partnership then, Islamic?
It depends on which company you refer to.
Guidance work.
Yeah, if you are referring to guidance residential, no, they do create an LLC, limited liability corporation, and they do so actually for liability separation purposes. They don't want to jeopardize the well-being of the whole company by just writing down guidance residential as your partner in owning the house. But that LLC actually belongs to guidance residential. So the ownership actually is there, but it's not 100% fulfilled because of some limitations, some restrictions in order for that contract to be sellable to Freddie Mac. They have to abide with some Freddie Mac requirement. When it comes to maintenance, tax, and insurance, yes, I mean those are like some of the concerns that we have on their mode of finance. However, they have their own justification why they do not pay the property tax, for example. They said, well, the one who occupies the property is the one who's benefiting from the property, and that property tax actually is paid, to benefit from it. So we do not benefit. It's not a fiqh justification. It is like I would say like a logic justification. Maintenance actually is the same. They are supposed actually to share proportionally the major maintenance expenses as they do not. But having some glitches or violations, if you wish, in the contract does not mean that the whole contract becomes an interest-bearing one. Speaking about guidance residential, when it comes to natural disaster, if that is not, that's something not covered by the insurance. Eminent domain, if the property is taken by the government, for example, by the state or by the federal government, foreclosure, they do actually incur loss proportionally with you as a customer. And actually, it did happen several times that they lost an actual real money.
Proportionally, or they take some?
No, proportionally. Eminent domain, natural disaster, proportionally. So having those clauses mentioned clearly in the agreement, I would say is sufficient enough to prove that there is a kind of recognizable ownership there. But it's not, 100% as you wish, but this is what we have. Okay. And you cannot compare the soundness of their ownership with the soundness of other competing companies like University Islamic Financial and the World Bank, because those two different entities are operating as banks. And by the law of the land, they are not allowed to own real estate for business or for investment purposes. Their job actually is to lend money, for interest. So they cannot own. While guidance residential to start with is not operating as a bank, rather it operates as an investment company. So again, by the law of the land, they do have the right to own property. This is actually what gives guidance residential more credit, way more credit than other banks. And when it comes to, as I said yesterday, Ijara loan and riba, both of them are not options whatsoever according to Amjad Declaration of Law.
So you mentioned on the fatwa about the haja that تنزل منزلة الضرورة, and what is the difference between haja تنزل منزلة and الضرورة?
Is always there. Haja means need. Every single individual who lives in the USA does need to own a house. So if you live in the USA and you want to own a house, guidance residential actually is your first option. If you are not living in California, if you live in California, you can finance with housing. Housing model is way better than guidance residential. Now in Hajj Master, which is the dire need, if you are not approved by guidance for whatever reason, maybe they are not licensed in your state, right? Then you can go with the UIF. Or otherwise you can go with the bond bank. Because of the same concern, the ownership issue actually is a very big concern when it comes to UIF, when it comes to the bond bank. They cannot own real estate, real actual legal ownership for investment purposes. It's not their job.
Could you repeat what you said about the second house? If someone has a house for their own living and then invests in a second house, you said it applies in the...
Well, there is a gentleman agreement, like a verbal agreement within the resident fatwa committee that yes, we do allow it, because having halal investment is a need. So in the same way that you need to purchase or to finance your house in a halal way, and you do have some saving, why not you invest okay, in a halal way. If you decide to go in the real estate track, then guidance international is your best agency to finance with.
Another, on the same question, is an estate or a trust put together by the family members or friends, and the ownership of the house on that, will that be okay?
What is the reason behind that? Why you want to create a trust?
So the group collectively owns without a specific person liable.
Usually, some people prepare to create what is called a revocable family trust. Okay, I mean this is for like distribution of the inheritance of the death of the head of the household, because like some family members might not agree to abide by the Islamic will, and they give like one another a hard time. Okay? If every single individual in the Islamic will, the Islamic bequest, agree in front of the judge that yes, we want to abide by this Islamic will, and it was clearly written that I want, by the deceased, like before passing away, that I want my estate to be distributed according to the Islamic inheritance law, then it goes without saying that the law of the land does honor that Islamic will, and actually it will be implemented. It did actually happen that the Islamic will that I have and I teach and I present to different communities was signed by one of the community members in Houston, Texas. And the attorney of guidance county actually was the one who told me that one of the brothers passed away, rahmatullah alayh, and the judge actually in Texas and Houston honored that Islamic will 100%. He took it as is. So it is actually binding as long as the legal heirs and the beneficiaries, right, are willing to abide by it. Okay? If he left behind his wife and some kids, and one of the kids said, no, I don't abide with it, or the wife, for example, said, no, I want to take 50% of the house, 50% of the property, and she started by giving a hard time to the rest of the legal, the law of the land actually would override, in this case, or ignore, if you wish, the Islamic will, and just go with the law of the land. This is what we have. And that's why, I'm mentioning this, that's why that if you want to make sure that the Islamic will is binding by force, then you can create what is called a revocable family trust. Okay, but this revocable family trust needs a lot of maintenance. Whatever you buy, it has to be like crossed out. Whatever you sell, okay, it has to be crossed out. Whatever you buy, it has to be added. So it has to be updated on a regular basis. Whenever you pass away, it has to reflect the actual properties and estate that you have, okay, an investment for 1K, whatever, like prior to your death. If everything is captured in the revocable family trust, then it is binding. Because actually the trust is a legal body, it does not die. You die, but the legal body does not die. So whatever is captured there is binding 100%. No one can mess up with it, as they say. Sisters.
Is there any free interest student loan right now, or no interest student loan?
Wallahi, we do have some organizations. One of them is called Continuous Charity. Continuous Charity, that's something. They offer student loans. But anyway, in our fiqh council in Amja, we said that students have to look for, like our students, have to look for halal by default sponsorship opportunities, like financial aid, scholarships, and grants. And if they cannot find, or whatever they find is insufficient, then they can go with the subsidized loans. Subsidized loan is a kind of loan that is given to undergraduate students based on financial need. So you have to prove your financial eligibility to get that loan. Subsidized loan is an interest-free loan for a certain period of time, okay, in which you have to pay it in full within the grace period of 6 to 9 months after your graduation. It's an interest-free. And if you default in paying in full, then it will be converted to an interest-bearing loan. According to Amjad, if the subsidized loan is not available or insufficient, then borrowing money for for higher education purposes would be permissible as a kind of exception. So students in the USA can borrow money with interest for education purposes, whether they want to pursue undergrad or graduate or PhD or postdoctorate or whatever the level might be, as a kind of darura. I mean, according to our interpretation, if the only option you have is to borrow money with interest for education purposes, then you can go for it. You might not, you might choose not to allow your kids to, apply for interest-bearing loan. That is your choice. But fiqh-wise, can a Muslim student take a loan with interest for education purposes? Our answer is yes, as long as this is the only option that he has. No. Yeah. Well, I think. Are you scratching your head or donating money?
Quick question. You mentioned the 529 for education and another account.
Yeah, United Gift, UGMA, Agma. Yeah, you can contribute maybe as minimum as $25 a month for your kids, and you open an account. You will become the custodian of the account until they reach the age of 18, I think, and then they can take the account independently. No. Okay, last question.
So if a minor inherited or awarded a loss of money and he or she cannot use it till the age of 18, is there zakah on that money and no one can take it?
Absolutely.
But no one can take that money out.
What's that?
No, the minor and the guardian cannot.
No, they can. Agma actually is accessible. 529 is accessible.
No, I'm not speaking of 529. 529. Speaking about a trust or a money that is awarded to a minor, and that minor cannot get access to it till the age of 18.
Well, if the minor does not have an access to it, but his legal guardian,
or even the legal guardian,
or the financial advisor or the wealth manager does have an access to it, then it is zakatable. It is any kind of wealth, any kind of money that is accessible is zakatable. Whatever accessible actually is zakatable. I mean, this is zakah 101. Any kind of wealth. Let's give you an example. If someone does have a pension plan, how about that? Like someone works for the government, for the state or for the federal government, and he or she has a pension plan. Pension plan, to my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's very inaccessible. You cannot even withdraw for like humanitarian case or hardship. You cannot, right? If that is proven, then your pension plan is zakah exempt because of lack of access to it. Because one of the conditions for the zakatability in the world is al-mulku tam raqabatan wa yadan, full ownership and full access. That money in your pension plan is used, but you are lacking another condition, which is the accessibility. I mean, you do not have access to it.
Once you have access to it, like
once you have access to it, yeah, you pay zakah on it.
For all the years that since you have it.
No. Well, no. Once you have an access to it, once it is accessible, then you pay zakah on it. No. طيب يا اخوة، جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.